Section 7.2b is about real-world problems. We have a problem here that we're going to have to use substitution to solve. It says Kenesha sells athletic shoes part-time. She earns $500 plus 4% commission on her total sales. Commission, if you don't know, is you multiply the money that they sell and you multiply that by 4%, and that's how somebody earns it. Or she earns $400 a month plus 5% commission, and we have to write a system of equations to represent that. Well, we need two unknowns. We need an x and a y, two things that we're looking at here. We're trying to find out how much she makes, so we're talking about her paycheck, and then we also want to know what her total sales are, because that would help us find her paycheck. The question is, which one's independent and which one's dependent? Does her paycheck depend on what she sells, or does what she sells depend on the paycheck? Well, the total sales is the independent value, and then what she earns, the amount earned, is based on the sale, so that'll be my y value. So I need an equation here. She earns $500 plus 4% commission. So here's what she earns. 4% is 0.04, and you're going to multiply that by her total sales, and then add $500 to that. So that's what she earns at this one place of business, and the other one would be 5%, so 0.05 times her sales plus 400. And we have to solve for x and y here, because we want to know how much would Kenesha have to sell, so we want to find out what x is. Well, we can do that using substitution here, because y equals all this stuff. I can substitute that in place of the y. I'm going to do the work over here. 0.05x plus 400, that's what I substituted in place of the y, equals 0.04x plus 500. I like to move the smaller coefficient, so 0.04x, leaving me with 0.01x plus 400 equals 500. We'll subtract 400 from both sides. We're trying to isolate the x. So 0.01x equals 100. Divide by 0.01. 100 divided by 0.01 is 10,000. So what we found out is x, which means the total sales, is $10,000. So she would have to sell $10,000 to make what she earns be the same. Here's another real-world example that will use substitution. See, tickets for a movie cost $7.25 for adults and $5.50 for students. A group of friends purchased 8 tickets for $52.75, and we have to write a system of equations to represent the situations. Now it says how many adult tickets and student tickets, so those are my unknowns. So I'm going to use x for the number of adult tickets, and I'm going to use y for the number of student tickets. Now this is a classic purchase problem. Remember, we talked about that. How much times how many? Well, each of the adult tickets cost $7.25, and each of the student tickets cost $5.50. So we have to come up with a couple of equations. Well, for the first one, I see $7.25 times x, that's the adult tickets. To that, we're going to add the student tickets, and the total, so that's going to equal $52.75. That's one equation that I can build using all my information. The other thing that I want to note is that a group bought 8 tickets. So if I just add them together, adults plus students, that equals 8. So there we go. 2 equations, 2 unknowns. This is a system. I got to use substitution. Well, to use substitution, I need to isolate one of the variables, so I will isolate this x. I don't know why I chose the x, just because I did. So 8 minus y. Now we have to use substitution. We will substitute that into the first equation in for the x. So 7.25 times what I substituted in, 8 minus y, and that's plus 550y plus 52.75. So now we're going to use algebra. $7.25 times 8 is $58 minus 725y plus 550y. Oh, I made a mistake here. This should be an equals here. So equals 5275. There we go. I see like terms that are on the same side. So negative 725 and positive 550 is negative 1.75y equals 5275. I'm still isolating the y, so we'll subtract 58. So negative 1.75y equals, when we're subtracting a smaller and a bigger, one thing you can do is take the bigger number, subtract the smaller number. So we'll borrow here 7, make this 100, so 25, and then 525, and then put the negative sign back on. So negative 5.25, and then we'll divide by negative 175. So y equals 2 negatives make it a positive. 175 goes into there 3 times, so my y is going to be a 3. Now we have to take that 3 and we've got to plug it back in somewhere to find out what the x is. And I would suggest plugging it into here. So x equals 8 minus 3, which means that x equals 5. So that's my x value. Now, we've got to go back and answer the question. The question says, how many adult tickets and student tickets were sold? So let's answer that. Well, x is the adult, so 5 adult tickets and 3 student tickets.